Hi
I
everyone.
think perhaps make sure that the camera, the microphone can hear you, so maybe you could stand.
Stand behind you. I can't see this. Thank you. Just maybe.
Roger, can you confirm that you can hear feed?
Can you hear me, Roger?
I can hear loud and clear, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carry on.
Thank you. Nice to meet some of you before, and maybe after I'll meet some of you as well. I know some of you too have already seen this slide deck, so I'll take you through. It's been an exciting short 4 months, and when I say short, it's been jam-packed. One of the things I would like to talk you through is the proud brand that Epicam has established itself in 19, nearly 20 years. And you can see up here, the legacy and accreditation that sits with Epicam is something that's highly sought after, and recently at a national biotech conference, this was something that some of the big pharma players, global representation of some of the big pharma players talked about, that allows them to really be more open to engaging with CROs across the world, and certainly Epicam contributes greatly to that appetite that we have. The exceptional reputation is there as well. You can see that we're very globally and locally recognised. To have a constant seat at the table for the WA Export Awards and sometimes the National Export Awards Australia, that's pretty impressive, and we continue to have a strong representation. To also be in the Hall of Fame from the WA Export Awards speaks volumes there. So high presence and consistently positive feedback. The diversity of offerings that Epicam continues to grow, and the experience that we're finding is that more and more clients are coming to Epicam with a vast array of requests, and Epicam is able to meet them at almost every turn. And I've mentioned the longevity that has a huge appeal to a lot of clients that are out there. So next slide, please, Sam. There's just a couple of slides here around revenue. So if we were to compare the 2 financial years, but particularly in the buckets of offerings, or the suite of offerings that Epicam has, you can see a really strong presence in all of those 4 areas. So medicinal chemistry is clearly holding the bigger part of that pie, with a 93% growth over the previous year, which is exceptional. And then analytical services, another, I think it was 35% growth. I think it showed it on a bill there. There we go, thank you. 83%, I got the numbers back to front. Again, really impressive, and that continues to grow quarter on quarter in the last couple of checking in on the data. Production is, and we talked about this with Robert, he paid a visit today, which was fantastic. Production moves in ebbs and flows. It's very much a dynamic space, and I'm pleased to show you on the next slide that that's continued to grow, but we'll get there. And then consultancy and investigations is really a staple part of the business. Again, starting to grow in the last couple of quarters. So if we move to the quarter comparisons, just that back one again, you'll just, you'll see, sorry, yeah, you did, that's okay. Essentially, the business in each of those buckets is doing well. I did a short analysis to share with Robert today on the rolling quarters of the last 4, and each one of those is showing great promise in terms of comparison, and we're finishing the calendar year in a really great spot. Project insights, I know, as I said, there's these different buckets. We can roll synthetic and medicinal and production into one, and as I mentioned before, huge diversity in these projects. Originally, Medchem had mainly 2 big clients, and the diversity that started to come within that part of the business has really allowed us to broaden the weight that sits within there, and that's been a really positive thing. It's difficult to share a lot of the client names for their own confidentiality reasons, but there are a couple up here, and PYC is a great example. PYC was a client previously. They moved away from Epicam for their own reasons, and then they found that they've come back to Epicam. They're super impressed with the quality of the service, and feedback is that when they moved away, they didn't get quite that service and the results that they wanted. They actually went backwards a little bit, and they were very, very happy to come back to PYC, and they're super happy with the work that's currently being done. Oncology One is a company out of Melbourne who had particularly focused on developing anti-cancer therapies, and they have a broad network. Their choice of CRO is Epicam out of Perth, and we've in fact worked with 3 of their big projects, and one of those in particular is progressing very positively, and conversations are really positive with them as well, so we're continuing a strong partnership. So there are a couple of examples there, and I put on here too the pharmaceutical reference standards. It's something that's not often spoken about. However, Epicam has a very strong catalogue presence, and with Anusha's help in her BDM role, we'll get that noise out there very widely, globally, and some of our biggest clients are overseas clients from that reference catalogue, so that has really big appeal. From the analytical side, and our head of analytical and QA, Dr. Carol Worth, is here. This portfolio has continued to expand, and you'd be amazed at the multiplicity of client requests that come through as part of the business. There's an increasing amount of work with PharmAust, which we're absolutely thrilled to be partnering more with and making great use of the resource that is within Epicam. And you would have seen there's some work being done with Chevron. This was in the most recent announcement, and the feedback from Chevron, again, I can't say much, but it's always been extremely positive, and it's a credit to Carol and her team to have secured that partnership at one, and secondly to delivering those results. And Wildchild is a local natural therapy company, and whilst they produce their own cosmetics and sunscreens, etc., they certainly refer to Carol and her team for a lot of their quality work and validations. You're all very aware of OHD from a material science point of view, and the Shell NERA grant project's about to wrap up. In fact, the results have been, and final analyses are being done, and the report wrapped up in the next few days. I know a question came through about will you get to know those results. It really depends on Shell and what they're willing to disclose and where they take that. However, the partnership with them and with NERA has been really positive, and it's given OHD another opportunity to sample a different feedstock and start to see where that might take us. So I'm super excited. The other one there that's worth mentioning is, you might recall the e-waste grant. The e-waste grant was shared. It was an pot of money that was shared in a couple of different areas, and Curtin University Metallurgy Department was one of those. And they've come back to Epicam to say, we got one lot of results, you got some different results because of your different process. What about we partner and see if there's a synergy that can work with that? And so we've started to work with them with the aim of potentially collaborating towards grants, etc., to see what we can do in that space. So that's pretty exciting, and it was very fruitful discussions there as well. As I mentioned, we've got Anusha who's joined the team, and that's going to be a key area for our growth acceleration. A lot to be said about brand awareness, and that's already had a massive kickstart in the last few weeks, and this market presence. We've already been engaging with some of the state government investment opportunities. You've heard of Jobs, Tourism, Science and Innovations with JETSI and Austrade, etc. So there's already quite a lot of activity that Anusha has had in her 3 weeks, and myself in the 4 months I've been here. And there's this partnership with other stakeholders. There's a huge appetite for collaboration in different sectors now. It's not so siloed anymore, so that's something we really want to jump in on and make sure that we're very present and involved. We want to maximise our R&D and export capabilities. That's hugely attractive, and we have that appetite to really capitalise on. And clearly our clients that are current and their network, they've all got a really great network. We want to be constantly tapping into that and expanding our reach. The other thing that I have added at the end there is we are building real agility within the team. We have an incredible brains trust, if you like, of chemists. They're very capable and they're very willing to continue to learn. So as our client base grows in the various departments, we want to actually allow them to transition across to different parts of the business. So no client's work is being left wanting, there's no gap there, and it increases their retention and engagement within the business, and we really want to keep these talented people. So really in summary, and just to wrap up, we are really poised in Epicam to really start to capitalise on the global opportunities that are there, as well as There's a huge exponential growth in life sciences. We all want our health. We just saw it as well with the dogs. You know, people want good health, and it's something that while a lot of things might fall away, health is really at the top of most people's list in terms of their priorities. We've got a hugely experienced team of chemists. We've got brilliant labs set up, 2 of them in fact, and we're contributing enormously. So it's great to see you, and thank you.